Welcome to Civic Affairs. I'm Andy Martins. On this week's show, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about real estate in Sault Ste. Marie. That's very important to this community. And I thought I'd bring in Jean Morrison, the managing partner of Street City. Hi, Jean.
Hi, Andy. Thank you so much for having me today.
You've been in real estate a long time, and you've done a great job. Can you let the viewers know a little bit about your background and how you got to be where you are today?
Sure. Yeah, I love talking about myself. Thanks.
No problem.
No, seriously, I've been in real estate. It's going on 12 years now.
Right.
And it's an interest that I had for many years. When my family was young, I think actually when I just had my daughter, so she'll be 19 soon. So when she was really young, I had considered it. I was working at a bank at the time. From being self-employed previous to that.
Right.
And I just, doing mortgage financing and everything too, I had this bug of wanting to do it. Started my license, my course, and then the bank talked me into, oh no, don't do that, stay here and you'll love it. And I did. It was a good experience. And then it just kept eating at me that, I really enjoy real estate. I enjoyed looking at homes. I enjoyed interior design, and I wanted that flexibility that would come along with being my own boss again. Being previously, like I said, self-employed. I used to own a wine business and things like that. So that's a lot of fun. Anyhow, so yeah, I got my real estate license about 12 years ago, and I was doing mortgage financing at the time as well. And the rest is so I worked at two different brokerages prior to opening our Street City office here in Sault Ste. Marie.
Is it important to work for other companies before you try to go on your own?
Well, you have to.
Right.
Yeah. So
to be a broker kind of
right.
thing.
So and you would want to, regardless. I mean, to open up a brokerage there's a lot of responsibility and experience that should come with it, because you're mentoring other agents, and you're being there too and running how the business goes. There's a lot of government regulation that's involved in it, but you actually have to get your broker's license, you have to be licensed for a minimum of 2 years to take the broker's course, and then you need to feel confident and have the ability in many ways to open up your brokerage, start recruiting, all that stuff, get your space. So, I mean, there's lots involved in doing that. But yeah, I mean, the rules behind licensing is it needs to be the two.
People get intimidated with real estate because it's working on commission. Were you ever intimidated with that aspect of it?
You mean as to get into the business?
Right.
You mean?
Yeah. That I'm not going to be getting a salary here, and this is straight commission work.
It's really a mindset. I would call it more self-employment. Yes, you get paid. We get paid commission. You're self-employed. Right. So it's different from some commission sales where you're, you sell something and your employer writes you a check and say, oh, you get so much off of each vehicle or whatever you sell. As a real estate registrant, you are a self-employed person. Mm-hmm. So you have to approach it as a business. Maybe I should have been intimidated by it, but for me it was that freedom to make as much money as I want, and that's what I tell people. You can take the real estate course and it costs you less than $5,000. What other business can you be in that you can become educated in something and become licensed that you can make six figures, within a relatively short amount of time? So the opportunities are there for sure. So it is a big switch, though. It's a mindset. It's difficult to sometimes, budget yourself, I guess is the best word, from going from someone who's accustomed getting a paycheck to you might not get paid for 3 months, and then all of a sudden, spring hits. Like right now, it's super busy, and now the money starts rolling in again. So and it's just the nature of real estate. You have to budget, monitor your spending, because you can be really rich one month and then and you're eating craft dinner for the next month.
No, you haven't experienced
I don't eat craft dinner,
that.
Though, yeah, I make it myself now.
But the 12 years you've been in real estate, Jean, I'm sure you've seen a lot of people think that they could handle the job, but they've kind of have not been able to be successful.
Yeah.
The people you've known over that period of time, has it surprised you? Some that have dropped off, and you spend a lot of thousands of dollars on the course, and then you find out you're not liking it. Yeah,
I'm always excited to hear a new registrant, especially if they join my firm. You know, that's great. But it's a fabulous business. If you like people and you know, you're willing to work hard, it's, you know, that you can do well. And it's always a shame to me when people do leave the business. I mean, sometimes people, like, within the last few years, there's been, you know, retirement where people are, you know, they've been in the business for 30 years and 40 years, which is great, you know, I mean, and that's a testament to how fantastic being a real estate professional is.
Right.
But then the people that come in and go, it's that mindset. You have to understand you're self-employed.
Right.
So when you get up in the morning, you should be ready to work, and probably work for an incredible amount of hours,
right,
to do it. And it's not for everyone. Right. You know, having that security of having a regular paycheck. But the opportunities are really boundless. You can be so creative and just thinking of different ways to how many times to contact people and how to drum up business, doing stuff like this. So, you know, just getting your name out there, you know, people in the community know you. But the most important advice I give, I think, to people is make your calls, get back to people, answer your text messages, your emails, and your phone.
Right.
And if you can do that, if you can get back to people within a reasonable time period, and I'm not perfect, obviously, I dropped the ball, and I'm the first to apologize, to say, oh my goodness, you know, like recently, you know, I fell down a flight of stairs.
You did, the day before the show.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, I kind of put me behind the 8 ball a little bit, you know, but that's...
How are you feeling now?
I'm pretty good. I'm getting there. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks. So
stay right there. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Gene Morrison of Street City Realty in a few minutes. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back. We're having a delightful chat with Gene Morrison, the managing partner of Street City Realty, and you can't miss the Street City signs because it's all orange. Orangey, my favorite color. Gene, is there a couple things you really like about real estate business? Let's boil the business down and talk about a couple things that, you know, you teach your crew and your staff, and what you really like about the business.
Well, I think the good thing about it is that, again, with that approach of self-employment,
right,
if you approach it like a business, you know that relationship building right away is one of the most important things. So really getting to know your clients, giving good customer service, being prompt in your replies, and getting your work done. And just really having that approach that, you know what, I know I'm not getting a paycheck when I work, you know, you might work all weekend, but you have to treat it as if you are, because at the end of the day, all those people that you interact with could be your clients or your customers. And the nice thing is it also allows for a real creative side.
Right.
So, for example, I love interior design, and it's wonderful when a client will say to me, you know, I'd like your advice. That is one of the most, you know, such a fun part of it. And people genuinely really appreciate that, right, that advice around it. You know, what can I do to my home to make it more, you know, saleable? What will help?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
but that's right. People have different viewpoints, and we'll bring that out. But have you ever run into a situation where you've gotten a listing or tried to get a listing, and the people are really rude and arrogant and self-serving, and you're pushing it, and you're just struggling to get that listing because of the nature of the climate of somebody's personality? Most people
are good. You know, honestly, I've had very few, and you really have to learn how to turn it around. We all get bad days. And you have to understand the motivation behind that.
Who could be arrogant and rude to you?
Well,
Jane,
it happens sometimes. You know what? I mean, and there could be a reason for it. And sometimes people just don't click. You know, they just might not like me. And I might, you know what, we just don't jive. And a lot of people will sometimes, you know, they'll ask a couple agents. Nothing really bounces out when you say that is, you know, that was a terrible.
Have you lost listings because of that? Sometimes you might, eh?
I think, like, I've experienced where, you know what, both parties think that maybe it's best to move on, but I can tell you over 12 years that may have only happened once or twice. Like, nothing really stands out. You have to give good customer service. You can't make everybody happy. You just have to realize that as a person, and when you're doing business, sometimes it's good to move on to the next because it's just not working.
Well, see, that's why I had you on, because real estate is similar to politics. You have to have a thick skin dealing with people, and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The business challenges in Sault Ste. Marie, Jean, you're managing partner of Street City. There is business challenges, isn't there, in just being part of the Sault Ste. Marie community?
I mean, real estate in general, there's you know, you have to have tenacity. And opening a new brokerage in the city, I'm partnership and part of a corporation and partnership in this branch here. So I'm fortunate that I have a lot of support from our company owners in London, and I had some hesitation at first. I thought, oh, well, you know, new in Sault Ste. Marie, and you know, I love Sault Ste. Marie. I've been born and raised here, but yeah, you wonder, you know, how well will be received. And it's been phenomenal.
Are you happy with the way it's gone up until this point?
It's been great. You know, it's the opposite of, and you're not the first person to ask me that. You know, how is it in Sault Ste. Marie? And I've almost heard the connotations by some people. Oh, I know what the Sioux's like. And I think, well, you don't know, honestly, if you know Sault Ste. Marie, it's been fantastic. Like, I can tell you, people are, when I've put signs, sometimes we put directional signs on the corners of streets, you know, this is where
open houses is,
or where the open houses. And I've had people just approach me and say, oh, I love the color, and good for you. It's nice to see new business opening in the city. Like, it's been a really very supportive environment. It's been great. I had a call to look at a property just a couple days ago, and they looked me up specifically because it was a new company. We really wanted to try you guys and to try someone new. I'm like, wow, because I always ask, how did you get my name? Why did you call me? And that was fabulous. So, you know, it's great. Thank you, Sault Ste. Marie.
And I've had a friend of mine that wanted to take a real estate course, is working in sales in the city, and she wanted you specifically to work for you. So there you go.
I love that.
You're moving the ball forward, Jane.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Let's talk a little bit about listings, and let's face it, let our viewers know, getting listings is not an easy task, and it's just part of the business that you have to do. Can you speak to that a little bit? How tough is it getting listings in Sault Ste. Marie?
Well, it is. I mean, there's some of the agents really dominate in that, and they've done well, and you know, listings, you have to be prepared. And there's lots of competition. So you're going to, just now, sellers and buyers are very educated, so everything is available online. So they're going to look at what their options are. They'll even Google, you know, what do I do to list my house? And then some suggestions will come up of what you should do if you want to list your property and who you should talk to. It's a great feeling when you win listings, especially when you know you were against 2 or 3 other agents. I just got a listing like that like last week, and you secretly do your yes on the side, you know. I mean, it's a good challenge, you know. You can represent a buyer, or you can do your listings. Listings are great because, but you're marketing that property, and there's a different pressure than when you're working for a buyer. So some agents just love working for buyers because they find they just shop with everything that's on the market, show them everything, and commissions are, and I think you were going to ask me about that anyway, but you know, the seller is paying the commission, and generally it's split 50-50 between the buyer agent and the selling agent. So if someone lists a property, they get paid regardless of who sells the property.
Right.
If they sell that property they listed, they get to have, we call it, double NPL.
It's always been interesting how that crossover happens, but the majority of the time it is a crossover. It is very rarely does one agent have the selling and buying side of it.
Yeah, and it happens, and I mean, we love it, of course,
yeah.
right? But you don't always, and there has been a lot of discussion around that too. One registrant can do a very good job of representing both sides. There just has to be transparency.
Right.
And there's different relationships. And so that's all, and we actually have to document that now. We have to explain to our clients or customers. So we either, you're a client or you're a customer.
Right.
So if a client would be, if you were selling your house and we put a document together that says you're listing your property with me, I put the sign up, I'm working on your behalf, the highest fiduciary responsibility is with you. If it is a customer, right. It might be, for example, I'm running an open house at your property and someone I've never met comes in and says, oh my goodness, Jean, I love this house, let's write an offer right now. Well, I don't know them, I'm not really giving them advice, I'm working for you and I'm offering them customer service.
Great. Stay right there, we'll take another commercial break and we'll be right back with Jean Morrison after these commercial breaks. Thanks for staying with us. We're chatting with Jean Morrison, the managing partner of Street City Realty. And before the break, we were talking about listings. And is there a part of the, one final question on this before we move on, is there a certain part of the day that you designate, and I'm talking you, Jean Morrison, not anybody in Street City or out, for looking at listings? It's important enough task that you'll say, I'm going to block 2 hours or 2.5 hours a day to just look for listings?
Look for, like, try to find
listings.
Andy, my day is so busy. So I wish I could block time.
Right.
But I'm almost, if I'm at my desk, I'm on my computer. If I'm at home, I'm on my computer.
Yeah,
so we have a hot sheet that we're checking all the time. I don't specifically sit to, no, that's not how I really run my business.
And I texted you on chat this morning. You probably had 10 chats going on.
Oh yeah, like I was answering my emails. I'm up early and I try to answer a lot of emails first thing in the morning, arranging appointments during the day. So I mean, it really depends on when you're showing properties to other people. And I have my to-do list that I write out of my things that I have to finish that day. And it depends on how like right now my phone's ringing. But when it's not ringing from people wanting to list their house, that's when my day is structured a little bit differently. So, I'll have the things that I have to have done that are pressing, that have to be done right away. People are looking for comparative market analysis and things like that on their property. And then it's just a matter of, making your phone calls.
Well, that's a good answer. You have the base that you don't really need to look for listings every day. You have a base that your group is moving all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Jean, are there too many real estate agents in Sault Ste. Marie as such? Would the market, what our market would allow, do you think?
No. And you have asked me this, 3 people that are thinking of getting their license recently had just candid conversations with me and said, I've been worried about it because I think there's too many real estate professionals in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely not. We had actually, I think at one time we were over 200. Within the last 6 months, I think it went down to as low as 162 only.
Right.
And that's the entire board. So that's from White River right through to Elliott Lake.
Wow.
So now I have a note that I wrote down that you took. Now we have, and this is as of this morning, 173 total, 155 just in the city. And then we have 15 brokerages right in the city. So 155 registrants, and there's the top percentage that do a lot of the business, and then you have people just getting into the business. Some people that have other jobs that aren't maybe not necessarily doing a lot. They just keep their license because they're doing so many transactions, they're semi-retired, things like that. So you have different stages. So to answer your question, no. I mean, I think I'm definitely looking for new recruits, and we have people that are studying to get their license. So
there is that little bit of an intimidating factor, just like teachers. If there's too many lawyers, people don't want to get into a field where there's too many of.
Yeah. Well, there's, I think, over 40,000 registrants in the Toronto Real Estate Board. So if you put that in perspective,
wow,
we're one of the smaller boards in Ontario for sure. Yeah.
A real estate course, again, is challenging. It's tough. It costs a lot of money. Do you have people that come in and say, gee, I'm kind of intimidated. I don't know about this?
I mean, it is an investment.
Right.
But again, you have to think about it as an investment into a business. So any business you decide to open, you're going to have to invest something into it.
Right.
Whether it's your training or the building around you or what have you. So if you as a registrant, there are certain board dues that have to be paid when you initially start, Ontario and Canadian Real Estate Association fees, and then there's monthly carrying costs to operate. But you sell one property, you sell two properties, you sell 4 properties a month as you start doing that. So it's not the easiest business to get into without a secondary income. That's a challenge sometimes where people find, I'm working here and I don't want to give up this to go to nothing. So sometimes people will set themselves up financially. They'll be in between change in careers. They could have sold a business. There's so many different, or there's people that can handle both until they're ready to do it full time. And that happens a lot. I mean, it's understandable that you have bills to pay. And
I can think of people who have had situations happen in where they worked before, without mentioning any names, and they've gone on to be very successful real estate agents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have agents that have other jobs that they do within our office too.
Right.
And they are very successful, and it's a matter of time management, handling and making, they do a great job of handling their clients, and that's what's important, right? As long as they're doing that, that's what we want to see.
Do you always love this question, because I've followed real estate over the last few years. People always think they're not getting enough for their house when you list it. Do you run into that?
Yeah. There is some people, when people say to me, I don't want to give it away, and I just bite my tongue. You're not giving it away.
Right.
When we establish a price, it's not.
Can you run through that,
It's
briefly?
not an exact science,
how that happens?
Of course, right? Because it's funny though. I just had someone call me and they said, well, there's a house there on the market that's the exact same floor print as ours, and I said, oh well, that doesn't happen very often. Normally it's we have a street that they'll say, we'll get the address, we can research it and behind to see the previous sales, maybe look at some photos, visit the property, and then research to see comparable sales that have sold in the market within a reasonable time period. So depending on the area, in the Sioux, we can have sales within, right now the market's changed, things have gotten things are going well for sellers right now. There's, especially in certain price ranges.
That's right. It's not a buyer's market right now. Yeah.
No. Well, depending on the price, really, like in the $200,000 low to high. Oh my goodness, it's hard. Things are selling like in cash if they're natural gas heat and a bungalow and everything. They're selling like that.
Yes.
So it depends. So yeah, normally you want at least you hope for at least 3 comparable properties. So you can say, okay, this home has these similar things to yours. Yours might be a little bit better here, but maybe lacking here. One has a garage, one doesn't, for example. And we come up to give them normally a price range where we can say, we think this would be the best price for your property if put on the market. And then and I think you might want them to ask me this after, but then it's just a matter of the idea is you want to be priced considerably close to what you would expect to accept. So yes, sometimes people think that, their house might be worth a little bit more, but most people, if you give them concrete information, then
You've
they
got to
say,
back that up.
oh, okay, well, I wish it was worth more, but now I understand. I mean, you can't just give somebody a number out of the hat and, and expect them to trust you. It's a matter of building that.
Jean, you've been a delightful guest. This show has gone extremely fast. Thank you so much for coming in. That's another edition of Civic Affairs. Join me next week when Sarah McCleary will be here. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Andy Martins.